Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Material Issues. This is episode number 46. I'm Mark Hershberger of Pop Detective Records. Joining me, as always, my very good friend from the West Coast and the top dog of the International Pop Overthrow Festival, known worldwide, my good friend David Bash. How are you tonight, David?
I'm doing well, Mark. Great to see you as always. Looking
Good to
forward
see
to
you as
yet
well.
another amazing episode of Material Issues.
I'll tell you what, if people be tuning in tonight, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to throw you a bit of a curveball. That's just a
Or
little hint.
maybe a split finger.
Maybe a split finger. But we're going to have a great time. I'm looking forward to tonight's episode. You just had IPO Phoenix wrapped up. How did that go, my friend?
It went well. I mean, Phoenix is the only one that takes only one day. It's a long day, 3 o'clock till midnight. We had 11 bands, mostly from Phoenix, a few from Tucson. It was fun. It was a really, really eclectic mix. The first band were these like 13, 14-year-old kids who were doing their version of grunge. I mean, like original tunes that definitely, reminded me of the stuff that was happening in Seattle. And then, we had a really good cover band after that, which we normally don't have, but it was, again, another kids band from the East Valley School of Rock. So we really wanted to do that. Wanted to support that. And then, we had all kinds of a real great mix of power pop and psychedelic pop and singer-songwriter and all that stuff. It was fun, good attendance. I love the venue, Cactus Jack's, a really classy place. And so it was fun. And, Rena and I drove in and drove back. It was like an 8-hour trip, but well worth it.
Cool.
Stopped at a few record stores on the way. So
of course.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. Well, speaking of records, I had a question for you, though, I wanted to ask. Do you know when the first colored vinyl appeared on the market?
I'm going to guess it's sometime in the 50s, but maybe it was even earlier.
Well, it's a very good answer, but like the first colored vinyl was 1908, which was an amber colored vinyl. But
Yikes.
The first
vinyl, that was a cylinder, wasn't it?
It's really an amber colored cylinder. But the first colored vinyl, you were absolutely right, came about in 1950, RCA Victor. And the only reason I bring it up is a neighbor across the street gave me all this vinyl from his mother estate. It's not really worth much anything. And I didn't know that the first colored vinyl came out in the 50s, but there's an RCA Victor red seal 45. That's Old Man River, Robert Merrill.
The guy who did, I mean, Jack will know this, the guy who did the national anthem at Yankee Stadium for all those years. I assume
there you go. And as written by Oscar Hammerstein. But evidently they put out red vinyl, green vinyl, yellow vinyl, midnight blue, all different genres had different colors of vinyl. And I've got a ton of this stuff here.
Oh, wow. But it's not really worth a lot?
No. Evidently they put out a billion of them.
So maybe the black vinyl is worth even more.
Maybe. I don't know. It's interesting, but I just thought I'd bring that up a little.
No, I remember seeing some colored vinyl from the 50s. I didn't know what year. Yeah. So I knew it couldn't be later than that.
I got plenty of Mario Lanza if you're in the market for Mario Lanza.
No, I've got everything by Mario. So
okay. Well, just in case you needed it.
I'm good there, Mark. But you know what else is good? Our guest today. And he'll be the first Major League Baseball player we've ever had on Material Issues. And, he had a great career, won the Cy Young Award in 1993, had a lot of other good years. He was in the middle of a little minor controversy when he was a Yankee. And he certainly has a lot of opinions about baseball, especially the way pitchers are handled these days. He's not happy about it.
Me neither.
We're going to find out about that and many other things about this gentleman. And the last thing I should point out is he's also a rock and roller guitar player, fronted 2 bands, including Stick Figure, which I heard for the first time yesterday. And I'm really impressed. I'm going to ask Tim about a reunion show at International Pop Overthrow because I
Nice.
really love what I heard. So anyway, so without further ado, would you please give a huge welcome to Mr. Black Jack McDowell?
There he is, Jack McDowell.
And
You might-
like the color vinyl thing, and look at these verbatim CDs.
Oh, nice.
Well,
Yeah.
I love the way those things
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
I wish more people would do those. Are those yours?
Oh, they copied the old school vinyl.
That's when you burn everything to digital with the colored verbatim CDs. I love it.
I keep asking a lot of people, do you still listen to CDs, or is it all just digital online stuff now? Because I've got a bunch of my CDs still that I'm like trying to pass on and get going. And so hopefully people will start listening to CDs again.
Well, you know what, Jack? I was talking to a CD manufacturer today on the phone because every year we do a compilation for my festival. And he told me that there's definitely been a resurgence, that he's been getting a lot more CD business than he's had in the past several years. So,
well, the cool thing about that too is the artwork. You get the artwork, the lyrics, all the cool stuff, and that was so much fun to produce. Also, on top of the music,
absolutely,
it's all becomes just put it online and let it go. None of that even appears. So
no. I mean, digital's fine as an option, but you got to have the physical product, and people need to be buying it. So.
Well, indeed, and that's all part of the marketing. It's playing live and having your CD for sale, having people come up and say, "Can you sign this?" It's really hard to sign the digital file, or take a selfie as I hold up my cell phone with the digital file. I mean, there's nothing personal about the digital file, so
no,
I'm very much into that. But first thing I got to know, Jack, and I've listened to interviews and things. The name Black Jack McDowell.
I was going to ask that myself.
There's been all kinds of stories, and here's one I pulled up on my phone, and I know you're going to probably have an alternate version of this, but this says, as a baseball player, Jack McDowell developed a nasty reputation as a cruel dude, which is a song lyric, right? Earning the nickname Black Jack McDowell, he showed no fear in tongue-lashing Chicago White Sox management and no reluctance to throw at a batter. That's from somebody named Paul Verkaman of Showbiz Today on CNN. Is there any truth to?
Well, here it is. CNN, typical lies. All right. Who had the greatest command in that era?
Greg Maddux.
Greg Maddux. Go look at the hit batters that he had compared to what I had. And see how many guys I threw at. He has tons more of batters hit than I did. Yet, I threw it, guys, all the time.
Well, on the other hand,
look up the stats, dude.
On the other hand, Jack, I mean, if a ball from Maddux came anywhere near a batter, he's probably stunned and never moved. So that may have been why his hit.
Some of mine, a lot of mine were just, hey, you throw a split and it cuts in and foot. That happens. It wasn't just you're throwing at guys and hitting guys and all this. This is baloney.
So where did Blackjack really come from?
Well, it came from from our announcers. They just started doing it, and because you don't listen to your own games, I had no idea that I was being called Blackjack until we go to Minnesota. And we're stretching out on the field in between the hitting area and first base, and the Twins get done, and in comes Kirby Puckett, we always talk to him, and he's a really cool dude, and he comes in and goes, Blackjack, what's going on? And I was like, hey, Puck, what's up? What's going on? And I turned around and said, what did he just call me? Blackjack? What is that? And Robin told me, he said, I think that's what Hawk Harrelson's calling you now is Blackjack. And I looked at it and I go, okay, my name is Jack, and I was the ace of the staff. So ace and Jack equals Blackjack. So that
there you go.
Had something to do with it too.
Nice.
Did you ever get a sponsorship from the gum?
No, never.
Oh man, that was a
missed opportunity.
White Sox needed a better marketing department.
Yeah. I wasn't all about the marketing, just wanted to play.
No, of course. And then that dovetails into the question I had. I mean, the season's starting tomorrow. Do you miss it? Do you miss playing?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do, because it was just, it's fun to compete. And, it's a lot. I still love coaching. I love being out there and being a part of it. And we get a lot more work. You actually get a lot more work in being a coach, a baseball coach, than any other sports coach. Just think about it. Every other sports coach, you just sit there and talk. Baseball coach, you got to hit 100 ground balls a day, 50 fly balls a day, and throw 150 balls, to half your team, and then throw another 150. So you got to be in good shape. It gets you in good shape to be a baseball coach. So it's kind of fun to keep doing that.
What do you find is the difference in coaching young players today than when you were being coached as a young player throughout, say, the 70s or the 80s?
I'm coaching the way it should be done, which is coach and what I have learned by playing the game for as long as I did, and then for coaching at every level from T-ball up to pro ball 2 times through. And you get to see the progression of guys, what actually works, what doesn't, what's smart, what's not. And so I learned a ton of stuff. They've taken it all away. It's all about metrics now, and it's all about predetermining games. And we're all worried about launch angle on the swing, and we're worried about, creating launch angle. You don't create launch angle. If you create how you launch a pitch, hitting would be a heck of a lot easier. At 300, only getting 3 out of 10 hits makes you a Hall of Famer. That's one of the things I constantly got to tell kids. Don't be frustrated. You made a big deal. 7 out of 10 times Hall of Famers get out. That is just part of baseball. And that's what you try to teach the pitchers too. This ain't about velocity, guys. It's about getting guys out. And guess what? Hall of Famers get out 7 out of 10 times. And they ain't all strikeouts. And it's not because they're swinging and missing. It's because they're putting the ball in play. And guys are right there. It doesn't even matter. It's just end results is what matters.
So you obviously don't like the way the game has evolved. In your opinion, it's devolved into home runs, strikeouts, walks, shifts, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's gone to no more baseball knowledge counting. And baseball as a sport is a pitch-to-pitch adjustment while you're pitching, while you're hitting, while you're playing defense. It's all pitch-to-pitch adjustment. You watch, as a pitcher, okay, I'm feeling better now with this, and then better with that. Okay, so now I know where I'm moving forward. Hitters, okay, you just jammed me with a fastball. Okay, let me make sure I get to that next time, but prepare for this. It's pitch-to-pitch adjustment. You can't predetermine what's going to happen, and you can't just take a single type swing like they're trying to teach now.
Right.
Because the pitches up, down, knee high, chest high, in and out, they're different pitches. How can it be the same swing? It is not. It's different paths, it's different finishes. And so all the stuff being taught now is just swing as hard as you can. Well, guess what? As a pitcher, I know more about hitting than a lot of those guys do, because guess what? You're going to change velocity.
Yeah.
You're going to change your velocity. You're going to move it. And sometimes you're going to throw hard, and one will be 3 or 4 miles an hour harder than the next pitch. And you're not even trying to do that. It just happens. And guess what? The difference is about this much of a difference, okay, in how much the ball gets there when it's 2 miles an hour different. Well, guess what? If you're swinging and not staying through the ball, and you're just trying to swing, you're going to roll over, you're going to miss, you're going to hit it off the end because you're not hitting through the ball. So,
given that a lot of guys now do have only one swing, do you think you would have been even better if you were pitching now?
Oh gosh, I want to come back. Absolutely. this and going, okay, these guys are doing this. And now, well, the biggest thing also now is they've gone back to the 60s strike zone. Now they're calling pitches chest high again. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you go look, I've posted on Facebook a bunch of videos of pitches that were not called strikes. And it wasn't just, oh, he just blew this call. No, it was our strike zone back then. Belt high, high.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I mean, the strike zone has changed a lot. So you like the current strike zone then?
Well, it's a lot better for pitchers, because you can get them to chase higher than chest high because they have to protect. And then all of a sudden you can throw your breaking ball a lot more because it's going to start high and they're going to have to make a pass at it, but then it breaks down and away.
And how about your opinion, Jack, on, because I'm very old school when it comes to baseball. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s with 2 divisions in each league. There was the winner of each division played 5 games and you won the World Series. And you never saw the American League or the National League team until you played them in the World Series, which to me was extremely exciting. But as a great pitcher, and you are legitimately a great pitcher, 3 All-Stars, Cy Young Award winner, doesn't get much better than that. Your opinion on today's pitchers where in their contracts they say they don't go past 6 innings no matter what, and pitchers that are taken out of the game with a no-hitter on the line, and they're just like,
that's the great thing that happened. That's just another great thing that happened, because that exposed the ridiculous metrics baloney that is going on. That exposed it to everybody watching the World Series going, what are you doing? A starting pitcher is a starting pitcher because he's supposed to be one of the best guys you have and can last longer than other guys. Look at Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera started out as a starter with the Yankees. And
when you were there, yeah.
And couldn't get by the 3rd or 4th inning. And that's why they put him to the bullpen. And then he was able to just dominate for an inning. That's the way certain things work. And the thing, like one of the metrics things that I laugh at, it's basically every metrics thing that's out there, I can turn it around with reality and say, why don't you go measure this and then find out how wrong you are? What they say now is, as a pitcher, 3rd time around is the toughest time to get people out because they've already seen your pitches. They've already gotten ready to hit you, and they've got in. So the 3rd time around, about the 7th, 6th, 7th, or 8th inning, that is the toughest time. And we ain't letting the starting pitcher do that again. Well, think about our era and think about growing up. What they said was, if you don't get a good starting pitcher early in the game and he gets into his groove and starts to know what he's doing and what he can do good, you're going to lose. And that's one thing I need to go and check for my own stats. I'm going to go look and see what my average was 1st time around, 2nd time around, 3rd time around in my games, because they have their games I didn't throw 7, 8, or 9 innings. That was just as a starting pitcher back then. So you always face guys 3 or 4, maybe 5 times a game.
And I have to admit, there are a lot of things about the new metrics that I like, but the one you pointed out is one of the ones that I don't. And it's clear that look at the Rays. They lost the World Series because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you have to look at individual situations and say, I don't care what this guy's normal pitch count. Today he's got it. Why are we taking him out?
The other team is supposed to let you know when it's time to take the starting pitcher out.
Right.
They start on you, then guess what? Hey, Mr. Manager, you better get him out of there. We're just going to keep scoring because he's out of his role.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just the way it is. And, that disappeared. Now they predetermine what's supposed to happen, and they don't just let it happen.
Yep.
There's no baseball knowledge happening during the game to be able to make decisions. They're predetermined decisions, guys that don't really even know the game. And they're doing metric stuff, but they aren't doing it correctly to what should be done. Check it out. See, you can go do all those numbers. Same thing. Oh, exit velocity is so important. Oh, you get a line out to the left fielder 10 feet high that's at 112 miles an hour. You're out. Guess what? jam shot, boom, it goes 40 miles an hour, second baseman, and 2 guys score. Oh, that was terrible. No extra velocity there. No, it's end result. Guess what? Swinging bunt. Swing, just missed the ball a little bit. Bink, swinging bunt, you get the base. Hang with it. That's the way it works. That's baseball.
Jack,
Results.
question I have for you also, because we've not talked to a former major leaguer here on the show, and being a huge baseball fan as David is, you played for four really good organizations with the White Sox, Yankees, Indians, Angels. What were the differences between playing for, say, the Yankees organization versus a White Sox organization versus like Indians, Angels, or maybe an organization that doesn't win as often, like the Pirates through the 80s, 90s, and or a smaller club? Is there really a big difference between playing for different organizations as a player?
Well, a lot of it just depends on who you're hooked up with, in the clubhouse. What happens upstairs, whatever,
Right.
They're going to do what they're going to do, but your everyday has to do with your clubhouse, your teammates, your coaches, and all that. That's what's the most important thing, and that's what gets you wins.
Right. Okay. All right.
Group together, pushing each other and doing the right thing.
Who was your favorite manager to play for?
Good question.
No problem with any of them. They were all pretty cool. Like, I still love Jeff Torberg, but he sent me down to AAA. I was supposed to be the number 2 starter going into spring training, and because I was hurt the year before, I didn't have enough time to get ready for spring training. So I was just getting ready during spring training, and I wasn't up to the level that I was up to, and he decided he wanted to send me down. But then, when it all turned around and I came back, he was like, "Ooh, I think I messed that up. Sorry."
That's awesome. As I said, I grew up in the 60s, 70s, and old school baseball, and I just talk about making appearances in AllStar games in front of a crowd like that, facing the best of the other league. That's just got to be such a thrill. And I know it's an AllStar game, but it's still, back in those days, it kind of meant a little bit more. The winner got the World Series home advantage or whatnot. But describe that kind of a feeling to me, just taking the mound during an All-Star game.
Well, it's interesting because they did that move, the All-Star move, where, okay, the winner gets this, to make it look like now we're really trying to play against each other. Where guess what? In baseball, you can't do what they do in the NFL and the NBA. The NBA All-Star game is 160 to 140.
Right.
One's really playing hard defense. They're just going half speed and doing what they do. Football, the same thing. No one wants to get injured. So it's not the same thing as the game. Exactly. Baseball, it's pitcher versus hitter. And you don't want to be the guy that gets knocked around or the guy that doesn't accomplish something in baseball. And it used to be, we used to compete in those games big time, like it was playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Win, and we were 3-0. In the 3 games that I played, we were 3-0, and we were happy with it.
You're absolutely right, because in every other sport, the All-Star game is not really a game. It's just a showcase to do. Hockey, they just that nobody touches each other.
Football is after the season's over, for God's sake.
Yeah. And they're just kind of like going half speed, and basketball the same way.
Doesn't really count for anything for them. But baseball, playing one game during a week off is fine for everybody, and you wanted to be there and you want to do well.
You're not serving up home run balls just for fun either.
So, I'm not going to throw hard because I don't want to get hurt. I'm just going to serve it up and let it go. Right. Yes. You don't want to be the guy that got beat up.
No, not at all. Let's take you back a little bit. So you grew up actually in an area that I lived for 20 years, Sherman Oaks, Van Nuys area.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm trying to remember now. Let me take a look. Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks. Were you the best player on the team?
Back then, I probably was. Yeah. I was a shortstop too, and I went to.
I was going to ask about that.
two-way guy, but didn't get, once I got to be a weekend pitcher, that was it.
And then you got drafted by the Red Sox in the 20th round and you didn't sign. Was that because you thought that if you went to Stanford or another college that you would develop and that ultimately you would get drafted a lot higher?
Well, absolutely. 20th round, I knew, and looking back on it, it was just because of the Stanford connection. The first guy who signed as a junior, even out of Stanford, was Buechele, and that was right around the time that I came into Stanford. And when I got there, we had guys that were big leaguers eventually that were all there as seniors, because they wanted to finish their Stanford degree before they moved forward. When I got
Stanford's a really good school.
I drafted junior year, but I was 2 quarters ahead. And I worked hard with the stuff. I was 2 quarters ahead, so I only had 1 quarter to finish up. So I went there right after my rookie year. I went there and finished it up.
So you were a really good student. You really cared about school, unlike maybe some other athletes.
Well, you had to back then. Nowadays, it seems like they're cheating a little some places.
No.
Well, let me tell you something. I started college at Syracuse University when they had a really good basketball team. And one of the students there, who shall remain nameless, he got an 11 on one of his math tests, and he ended up getting a B in the class. And I said, well, they're moving this guy along. They don't really care what he gets.
Well, the teacher obviously couldn't count and didn't know the math.
Ironic that it's a math class, but
now that teacher is probably a metrics guy in baseball. 11's a B. Go.
Yeah, I guess at Stanford you had to do it. Yeah.
Right now in baseball is they changed the scholarship thing to now they're allowing academic scholarships not to count for the number of scholarships allowed in the sport. So in baseball, 11.7 for D1. I was coaching in D2, and we only allowed 9 scholarships. But now that they switched that the academics don't count into that. You look at the schools that just want their baseball program to be the best, and they're just giving guys athletic stuff. No, we're giving them academic scholarships. And wait a minute, is there a basis that needs to be on? Did he need to be a 3.8 and above? And SAT of 1,100 for you to get this much money? No, they just give it to whoever. So they can give a guy a full ride just because he throws 95 miles an hour. Yeah. School guy and get away with it now. So the MCA is just getting so weird.
Yeah, I lament. I lament the old days. And of course, when we talk old days, we talk because David and I collect baseball memorabilia and cards and such. We talked previously before we came on air on that poster right behind you, and that's baseball cards of Jack McDowell. How many baseball cards did you appear on? Do you know?
Well, that's all the ones I've come up with. And let's see, what are there? 50, hundreds. Yeah, there are hundreds. There's a few hundred up there. It's crazy because it just blew up back then. Because when we first got it was just Topps. That was the only card company. And then in the late 80s, early 90s, when I broke in, all of a sudden like 7-8 companies came in and started doing cards. And so you got tons and tons.
Was that fairly lucrative to a baseball player to sign a contract with all the various card companies at all, that they could use your likeness?
No, to do it, it was a funny of like a $5 sign thing.
Okay.
It was a $5 thing. You signed it and you got $5, and then they were able to print your cards and put them out there. And
they called it stake money back in the day.
Exactly.
So you got drafted by the White Sox. Was that the team you really wanted to be drafted by, or did it matter? Who was your team?
If you look at the draft, they picked me 5 overall, and guess who was 7th, David?
Maddox was before.
It was the Dodgers.
Oh, the Dodgers. Dodgers were at 7.
Oh.
Growing up in LA, that was my team. That was the only team I really cared about. That would have been cool to be able to go with them. But got to go with the White Sox. But
yeah. On the other hand, it would have been tough to be number 1 on the Dodgers when they had Oral Hershiser at the time.
Yeah.
So there was that, and of course the White Sox became a very good team. Now, in 1987, you came up and immediately, were successful, 3-0 with a 1.93 ERA. Did you think this was going to be a real easy career at that point, or did you think just got lucky?
I knew I could compete because, and I've said this a million times, from my freshman year at Stanford till the time that I signed, there were probably like 8 or 9 guys that I played against freshman year that are already in the big leagues. And so you see that, and I go, oh, okay, so I've already pitched against these guys and I've done okay. And I've seen this guy pitch and he's okay, so I guess I have a chance to keep going forward and be okay. And it's just, like I said, it's just pitch to pitch adjustment. You just keep trying to get better. And that's also the reason why the minor league system was a lot longer. And now they're getting rid of it because they can predetermine who are really going to be leaguers. Well, wait a minute. Let's go look at some Hall of Fame dudes that were drafted in the 40th round.
Yeah.
But Mike Piazza.
As they go on and look at how many first rounders never made it into the big leagues. That's a big story I always hear about too. So wait a minute. You're trying to say that now you can predetermine a kid out of high school is going to progress into this, a kid out of college is going to progress into this and be able to adjust? I hope so, but that's not reality. The reason is this game is not just about, this guy throws this and he throws so hard and this. No, you got to be able to make your adjustments and to be able to do things and move forward and get yourself better as you move forward and get with better players. And that is the analytics. It's not measurable. And so that's not what they do. So what are they doing? Oh, we're going to get rid of, 3 levels of the minor leagues now and only draft 10, 15 rounds.
And you can't measure somebody's mental toughness either, and their emotional toughness and the way they perform in situations. You can't measure that,
And it's just ridiculous that how many guys are getting pushed out of the game because they're not getting drafted who probably would have been major leaguers and been solid, good players.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of solid, good players, you had on the White Sox, you had a couple of guys who came up who obviously one of whom became a Hall of Famer and another could have been if not for, well, maybe he wouldn't have been if not for anyway. But Frank Thomas, when he came up, did everybody know that he was the real deal immediately?
Well, we knew he was a big, strong hitter. I mean, look, he was a huge dude. And, he's one of those where he takes batting practice. And even when, you miss on the swing, it still would go at least out to the warning track. One of the things that's never taken seriously these days is a hard ground ball. If he'd hit a hard ground ball, that thing would get through. And that's why you have a higher average.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what would the exit velo be?
Angle was minus 10 degrees. But guess what? That's a base hit, or it's a double down the line, or it's a double in the gap,
Yeah.
It's like Herman Munster hitting the ball underground, but 7,000 miles an hour.
Oh, it's excellent.
And then you had Sammy Sosa come up, and obviously he didn't stay on the White Sox too long. What did people think of him? I mean, obviously he was way less disciplined than Frank Thomas, but he was a young guy, and did he seem like he was going to become a great player?
He was a solid player, but before the juice era, no one realized how much bigger and stronger he was going to get out of all that stuff. So,
yeah, indeed. Now you played for the White Sox. Are you a big baseball history fan or whatnot? I mean, the White Sox have had quite the history in Major League Baseball, as we know, from the Black Sox to everything Bill Veeck did with the uniform, some of the crazy uniforms. You know, I just love the White Sox. I love the organization and some of the crazy stuff that they did. What were some of your favorite teams, so to speak, as far as what you saw during your playing days?
The White Sox was cool because, you know, I was drafted and we were a younger team and just kept getting better. And then finally, you know, 5 years into it, we were able to compete with the A's, who were a big time veteran superstar team.
Right. Yeah.
But we grew and, you know, got better and better as we went. We finally beat them in '93 and got there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, didn't go further, but you know, that happens to a lot of teams.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, '93 is the year everyone's going to remember you for because you won the Cy Young that year. But metrics, shall we say, have determined that you were actually better in '92. I mean, how do you feel about that? Were you better? I mean, you weren't going to beat Eckersley out for Cy Young that year. Nobody was. But do you think you were better in '92?
I think that to even go back one more year, 91 might have been my best year when I was only 17 wins. But if you go back and look, I believe there were 7 blown saves.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Still, was that thick?
250 plus innings.
Yeah.
I mean, the saves are just, okay, hey, we're going to give him a save, get out after the 8th, and we're going to give him the 9th inning. And I have blown saves, and I would have won 23 games if it just would have been normal.
You did have your highest strikeout total that year, and that was the year after Bobby Thigpen set the save record. But I guess the following year he didn't quite have it, as it happens with a lot of relievers, except for guys like Rivera and Hoffman. But did you think you were going to win the Cy in '93?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. You know, the year before I thought I had a shot at it. And, you know, the next year, you just wait and see. You never know who's going to vote for what. So,
did that kind of thing matter to you?
What's
did
that?
It matter? Did it matter to you at all? Or
yeah, it was cool. You know, it's because once the season's over, you know, okay, it's something that, you know, you can get. But it's like I always tell everybody, individual awards, yeah, they're okay and all that, but that ain't what this is all about. And that's not the best thing to do. Individual stats can always be better. I had a Cy Young. I lost 10 games too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. 24 and 10 that year?
22 and 10.
22 and 10?
Yeah. And, you know, hey, so I lost 10 games, so I could have had a better season, right? Right. Yeah, but I won the Cy Young. Oh, great. You know, the only thing that you can't improve upon is a championship.
Yeah.
And there ain't nothing else you could have done as a team that was any better.
Yeah.
So when players always say in interviews, and it's a stock answer when people ask about, you know, individual awards versus championships, and players always say the individual award matters to me a lot less than winning the championship. That's really true then.
Oh, absolutely. People ask me what was the coolest thing of your career, and I'll still say it, that the Stanford winning the national championship.
Wow. Okay.
You know, that's by far the coolest thing.
Well, and you know, and again, talking about being old school, I look at the players' salaries in the '60s and in the '70s where they weren't making very much, and to me, it just seemed like they really tried like hell to get to the World Series and win, because their cut of the World Series winning could have been 1/5 of what they made for the entire year. And I look at players today, and David and I have had this conversation, and some of these guys that are making 10, 12 million, whatever the hell it is, a year, and to get that little cut of the championship, to me, it doesn't seem like the hunger is there like it used to be.
Oh, yeah. You know, it was a big chunk you got if you got to get to the playoffs and all that. But now, why do they even care? You know, some guys make $30 million.
That's my question. And I mean, to me, it seems like why, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like why would you care if you're going to spend all these extra weeks trying to win the World Series when you've pocketed $30 million? You don't need that extra little, you know, maybe incentive money. You could be hanging out in Bermuda somewhere with your family and chilling. But back in 1971, when Mario Mendoza, whatever the hell it was making $102,000 a year, and he got 25,000 for winning the series.
Oh, he wasn't even making 102 back in 71. He was probably making like 22.
But you get a check for $20,000. The winner's share, I think, was 23,000 in 71.
Oh, no doubt, yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just want, what's your opinion?
That's another question, John.
Now there you go again. That is what's the truth. Who are guys that really like to compete and win? Who are the guys that compete and win? That is the thing, not just, guys that want to strike out a million guys and get, personal records and money. No, I want to win games. You want to go out there and win.
Yeah.
That's what you win.
What do you think of the fact that Major League Baseball has partnered with gambling right now? Do you think it's a bad idea?
I think that it's one of the hardest things to gamble on. Like I said, you can't predetermine this game. It's hard to it's the hardest thing to predetermine this game because, they have the stud pitcher pitching against this other team, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? He comes out there and, walks a couple guys, gives up a home run, a couple errors behind him. You don't know what's going to happen. It's not just about who lays up against who. It's who gets out there and does it and makes their adjustments during the game.
Yeah.
So it's a real hard game to predetermine, like I've said a million times. And so doing that's hard to do.
Do you think there's any danger with gambling that we're going to see another Black Sox situation? I know there's so much more money involved now, and players have a lot less incentive to throw games. But, there's been thought that maybe owners that there'll be all kinds of. Do you think that's even a possibility?
I think that too much technology out there to find this stuff in reality. There should be no crimes that ever happen that don't get seen. Come on, you see everything, hear everything. Alexa's in the house. She's here's everything that's going on right now. Part of the deal, man. And I don't understand how anybody can do any type of crime and get away with it now, or any kind of cheating and get away with it.
Well, you're saying that, but what about the Astros? Only a couple of years ago, they got away with it until they didn't.
Yeah, they got away with it until one of their dudes actually set up, and so it made MLB actually do something for it. But obviously knew guys that played against him knew that, but they aren't just going to listen to people, but once that happens and it forced MLB to do something kind of like, they've been using the sticky stuff in pine tar for years and decades, but they just decided now we're going to stop that.
Yeah.
Speaking of knowing stuff, your ERA started going up right around the time a certain juice started becoming very frequent in baseball. Did you know? I'm not going to ask you to name names, of course, but did you know that things were going on? Did baseball know that things were going on, and no one did anything?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, they knew what was going on, but they didn't care until a bunch of things happened that they decided to get frustrated about it. But so many stories, so many teams were just forcing guys to do it and do weird. But, everyone said, the steroid era started in the late 90s. And no, it started in the late 80s. And I know that for a fact.
Well, because Jose Canseco said as much in his book.
Yeah.
Admitting, of course, that he also was doing it. So, but it seemed like in the late 90s is when it started to become a little bit more plentiful. And now it probably did affect pitchers' stats because so many hitters were doing it.
Yeah. And, nowadays, if you think guys aren't doing stuff, the stuff that they can use now goes in and out of your body within 48 hours. So you can't test positive to any of the stuff they're doing now. Whereas back in the day, you could test positive a couple months down the road if you did this stuff. Now it's out in 48. So the only way that they catch people, if you look, the guys that get busted, is they'll do like back-to-back tests really quick. They'll do a test on somebody. If they know that he's doing it, they'll do a test on him and then wait like 3 or 4 days and then go do it again. They're like, yo, we didn't think he probably didn't think we were going to do another one so quick. So we got him.
Well, I think Robinson Cano got caught because he thought that he had a night game on a certain day, and it turned out he had a day game. So he juiced, knowing that the thing would be out of his system by the evening. But they tested him. They tested him during the day because they had a day game, and he got caught.
Yeah.
What is your feeling though, Jack, on just in general performance enhancing drugs? I mean, it changes the game, obviously. It changes your bounce back, your refresh rate. But should people be able to do whatever they want to do with their bodies because it's their bodies and play the game that way, or should it be completely all natural?
I don't know. I don't really. I think about it and I go, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I would have done it.
Yeah.
And I think back and I wonder if I did it right now. What if I did it right now for a year and then see if I could make a comeback, being a lot bigger and stronger? Maybe that'd be interesting to see whether what kind of stuff that stuff really does. But
well, it's yeah. I always say I'm old school, and I look at history, and I look at the records that were set throughout the entire century for baseball, and then you look at a guy like Barry Bonds that did X amount of things, and all of a sudden he's juicing and his stats go through the roof and whatnot. It changes everything about the history of the game versus today's game. So records, all that stuff, even today, goes out the window because pitchers don't pitch past the 6th inning, or people are doing all this. So to me it tarnishes the history of baseball because it changes everything.
Yeah, and the fact that they're changing everything about the game.
Yeah.
Kind of game too.
I know.
So are you glad that the shift is going to be is going to be outlawed in 2023?
Well, I haven't even read the actual rule on that. What does that mean that you can't do a shift? Does that mean the shortstop can't come on the other side of second base? What does it mean? I haven't read what the actual rule is.
Apparently, it does mean that you're going to have two infielders. You're going to have two infielders on each side of the base. That much is clear.
Step on the grass.
That's
they have to be on dirt.
That's the stuff that isn't clear yet. If they are able to step on the grass, how far back can they go?
I have no clue. Thinking about actual baseball and going, oh, wait a minute, he's on that side, but he's back out where he used to be because we didn't write the specific rule. I haven't read the rule yet, so I don't. Maybe they have.
I'd love to know your opinion, though, Jack, because David and I disagree on this vehemently. I say I don't care if they want to put 9 or all 8 defensive players red at second base because this hitter only ever goes that way. Then the hitter should be good enough to poke it down third base side. So I don't care. Put everybody wherever you want to put it. I mean, but what do you feel?
The hitters over the last maybe year and a half have just started going against the shift and saying, okay, I'm just going to do this and this, rather than saying, I'm going to beat this thing. I don't care that they're doing this and try to beat it. No, just play Pepper.
Exactly.
Just play Pepper. Are you kidding me? They would just do something like that. I could go, I don't care a guy's throwing 120 miles an hour. I can just sit here and go, I've got an entire side of the field open to just go, bap, and just hit a cruddy ground ball for a base hit. Makes no sense. Lord, to just bunt a ball down the line. You don't even need a good bunt.
Yeah.
Bunt it too hard, and it doesn't even matter.
But here's the thing, Jack. I'm a lifetime Yankee fan, and I have the baseball package, so I watch pretty much every game. And Joey Gallo, who of course they shift very, very extreme with him. He has dropped down a few bunts down the third base line. And it's like the teams are saying, hey, you want a single? You're probably going to walk anyway. So hell yeah, take it. And he's done it But then, the next at bat, he's doing exactly what he always does. He's trying to hit the ball over the right field fence. He could be hitting 700 if he wanted to do that. And yet, maybe it's because of Brian Cashman and the way the program is set up. It's like he won't do it consistently. He still feels like he's got to hit the ball out.
But Major League Baseball doesn't want small ball.
Yeah.
They don't want
to win games then.
Now, they don't want scores that are 1-0 or 2-1.
They have these metrics that stolen bases. If you don't steal at an 85% rate, it's ridiculous to steal bases. No, it's individual, situational,
right,
as to what it is. And guess what? You got all nerd catchers down on one knee right now. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to help them make a better
catch. Oh, my God. Jack, we could talk for 4 more hours on all these little things.
Oh, God, yeah. But, yeah, we should probably move into your other – we should move in.
And the metrics guys will be incorrect.
We should move on to your other career. That is a rock and roller. Did you, as a kid, did you see yourself as becoming a lifetime musician, or did that develop later?
I got into it. My sister, who's 10 years older than me, worked in the music industry. Started out at Chrysalis Records and then went to MC.
Oh. Wow.
Wow.
So we'd get all the early music before anyone heard it. We'd
nice.
Home and I started playing guitar and taking lessons when I was, I think, 10 and 11 years old and playing it. So, and I didn't really think anything, I used to play it and enjoy it and learn songs, from listening to them on the radio and stuff like that. But I really started getting down to writing songs on that when I went back, like I talked about earlier, I went back to Stanford to finish up my degree, and I wasn't playing baseball. And so I get done with my classes and I'd be sitting around all day going, what am I going to do right now? So I brought my guitar in and started actually writing songs and getting into it a little bit.
And how did you, was it called View or VIEW?
Well, it was called View, and then we found out that there was another band called The View. And so we were huge REM fans also. So we said, all right, we're going to just go V period, I period, E period, W period, like REM. And we'll make it to The View. Yeah.
So where'd you start playing?
What do you mean? As far as
which cities, which venues?
Oh, I mean, the first real concert we did was opening up for the Smithereens. I mean, we did little acoustic things and stuff like that, but not real concerts until then.
Well, we had a comment come in from the Smithereens saying, played bass. Mike played bass with stick figures, so I wanted to make sure you saw that comment that came in.
That's probably Jim Babjack, who was on our show a few weeks ago. But so you obviously got to know them pretty well. If Mike eventually was part of Stick Figure.
Yeah, well, Mike was the one who got us the opening thing too. So he saw us do an acoustic version on the Roy Firestone show of one of the songs, and he thought it was a super cool song, and he's like, oh, this is pretty good. And he was a baseball fan too. So I remember he asked the other dudes, he asked Pat and Jim and them, he was like, hey, can we have these guys come and open up for us? That was totally cool. So that kind of got me into the whole thing.
Wow. Did your fame as a ball player help you at all in terms of getting record deals?
I think it kind of went the other way around.
Really?
Being a baseball dude and doing that, it was like, nah, because I couldn't, do tours as long.
Right.
Much. I couldn't do this, couldn't do that. And because I was a baseball player, people wouldn't really focus much on it to check it out. And, so no, I don't think that helped.
But then after View, it was Stick Figure. And I want to play. Huh?
Still trying to promote all my stuff from 20 years ago because very few people actually heard it or listened to any of this.
Well, I'm going to try to help you with that. And I'm going to start right now by playing my favorite of the 3 tracks you sent me by Stick Figure. This is Just Like Them. I hope.
Yeah. Love it. And those CDs are still available, Jack?
Yeah, I've got them all, so I'm the store.
Well,
I'll be one of your customers because
where do people find
really
it, Jack?
good stuff.
Well, basically, I put it out on Facebook. If you wanted to just message me, we could get it. But you can also, anyone can email me and check it out. My email is stickjack111.
All right, I'm just gonna throw a little banner there so people can, even because people watch this on archives quite a lot. So it's stickjack111 at what?
At what?
At yahoo.com.
Yahoo. All right, I'm gonna throw this up there, so anybody who wants to pick up a CD of Stickman from Jack himself. This is coming right out of his house and stuffing it himself, and he'll probably even sign it for you, I would think, or.
Yeah. I've got 7 CDs, but only multiples of 5 of them.
Okay, all right. Well, there, stickjack111 at Yahoo. Drop. How many times do you get to drop a Cy Young Award winner an email saying, "Can I get a CD from you?" And he'll
only once.
Yeah, maybe only once.
Getting ready to do a new record too. So,
well, nice.
I was going to ask, are you up for doing a reunion show? Because hey, we'll have you at International Pop Overthrow anytime.
Well, yeah, I got to put a band back together though, so I'm just getting back into it, the music end of it, and got to be able to put a band back together.
Have you spoken with the original guys about it?
Well, the original View guys were baseball dudes, And
no, I was mainly talking about the stick figure guys.
Yeah, well, they're all doing what they're doing. Maceros is out in California, so we're coast to coast right now. And Frank Finero, who went from us to Cracker.
Oh yeah.
I think he's still doing stuff with them. So we guys we're gonna put something together.
That'd be great.
I hope so. I mean, I'll make sure to see you, and it would be a thrill to have you at the festival. We can talk about that if and when you do put a band together. But yeah.
But the question is, would he do a cover version of the Baseball Project's "The Yankee Flipper"?
Yeah.
Well, hey, I just wrote a song for them. They contacted me because I had written a song, and I said, hey, this is a baseball-related song, anti-metric song. It's called Mr. Saber. And
say that again?
Basically, like it's Mr. Saber, get out, But it's a whole song that I wrote, and then I rewrote it. They're going in to do their next record pretty soon. And they might re-record that song. And I was like, hey, I'll come in and do stuff with you too if you want. So hopefully I can get in there, and because I wrote the song, they'll let me come in there and maybe sing it and play some on it. That'd be awesome.
That'd be
Well, let's hope. I'll speak to Scott. I'll definitely cajole him a little bit.
They were gonna go in January, but because of the COVID, blow up, the second go around blow up, they said, no, we can't go into a studio now.
Right.
They're here to North Carolina to do the studio that, the old REM studios that they used to do everything at.
Do you know Mitch Easter?
I haven't met Mitch. No.
Okay, well, he's in the area, so yeah. You guys should get together for sure.
Right? I think that's where they were going to go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jack, this was an absolute pleasure. It really was, and we thank you so much for being on, for giving us an hour of your time. It was fun, and you have strong opinions about stuff, which is great. And yes, it was. Yeah, I'm glad to have gotten to know you.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, my opinions aren't just opinions. I can metric it out and be absolutely.
Yeah, Jack, this was an absolute thrill. Thank you so much again. And again, if anybody's interested in stick figures, stickjack111 at yahoo.com. Get in touch with Jack. He'll get you a CD, and we look forward to more music in the future from you, my friend. And as I said, we probably could have talked for 4 more hours on just everything baseball, because David and I love to talk about those things. So thank you again. We wish you great health, happiness, and all the success in the future, my friend. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Jack. Be well.
Have a great night, Jack. Good night.
All right. Take care.
Well, there you have it, David Bash. That is our first Major League Baseball former All-Star Cy Young winner to appear on Material Issues. What a thrill.
It really was. Yeah, he's a great interview. And yeah, he has very strong opinions / facts.
But that's why I was so looking forward to this, because you and I, we go back and forth on baseball, issues, so to speak. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. We can get into it with somebody who's very opinionated. and we did it respectfully, and it was good.
We definitely did it respectfully. And, I didn't even have to go to where he might not have wanted to go, which was, the flipper thing and the, the hit that Yankee fans will never forgive him for. I did. Yeah. I mean, because, and one of the things I would have asked him if it did go there is, does he believe in the concept of clutch hitting and clutch pitching?
Right.
Does he feel like, he wasn't, because, his postseason record was not good, no matter all 3 times. And does he think it's just something that happened, or does he think it's maybe he was nervous? Or, of course, in the 95 playoffs against Seattle, he gave up hits to Ken Griffey Jr. and Edgar Martinez, both Hall of Famers. So no shame in that. Anybody could have done that. But, you know how fans are. These guys get paid so much money, they have to deliver. They can't be human beings.
But somebody's got to deliver, and just so happens that at that moment, the hitters delivered,
Right. And again, these are good players. It's not, these are major league players. It's not like you and me were up there.
Yeah. How could he let David Bash, who has never swung a bat in the major leagues, get a hit?
I don't even know what that would feel like. If I was up in a situation like that and I was facing a guy like Jack McDowell, and I actually got a base hit, it would be so surreal. I would have an out-of-body experience as I was running to first. Of course, with my speed, I better hit it out. I don't care what part of the park I hit it in. They'd throw me out from the outfield before I even got to first.
What kind of shift would they put on for David Bash?
It really wouldn't matter where they were. I'm so slow that all they'd have to do is get to the ball and they could throw me out. So I have to hit it out.
You'd probably get some sunflower seeds out, eat a couple, then throw it to first.
I mean, if I did this in 95, I'd still be running now. I mean, I wouldn't even gotten to first yet. So if it didn't go over the fence, I'm screwed.
Oh, Lord, my Lord, that was funny.
But it was great having a major league player on, and we're going to do it again next week.
Yeah. What are we going to do next week?
This time we have a hitter, an outfielder who played for the Rangers and the Yankees and became a Yankees announcer. And another really bright guy who has strong opinions about stuff. Mr. Billy Sample will be our guest next week on Material Issues. That would be the 13th. Yep. And then on the 20th, we're back to music with the daughter of one of, I'm going to say it right this time, of two of the most iconic singer-songwriters in the history of rock and roll, Carole King and Jerry Goffin. And of course, Carole being, a Hall of Fame artist in her own right.
Yep.
We're talking about Louise Goffin, who was who did some great music on her own. Released several albums, including one last year. Really good stuff. And it's going to be great getting her perspective on her famous parents and on her own career. So that should be a lot of fun. And then on the 27th, we'll let you take this one away.
Well, as a recent comment on Material Issues Facebook group from Jordan Oaks said, the interviews of a lifetime. This is going to be a band that, we've discussed, haven't heard seen interviews or heard much anything from them in a very, very long time. 2 former members of the 70s band Artful Dodger. We've got the bass player, Steve Cooper. We've got the lead singer, Billy Palicelli. 4 major label albums. And let's find out all about Artful Dodger, because there's a lot of people that love them, but you've never really heard much from them interview-wise. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be
great. And I know we've been saying this for several weeks now, but we do have other irons in the fire. I have a feeling that by next week we're going to be able to announce a couple more guests as we get into May.
And sooner or later, you and I are just going to have a show where it's just you and I talking about some new music and things. Because way back when we started this, we said, yeah, maybe we'll have some guests. We'll try to get some guests, but we'll also talk a lot about releases and music and things. And we've done so well with all these wonderful guests that we haven't really taken much time to talk about new music. So maybe one of these weeks coming up here, it'll just be you and I. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. If there happens to be a week that that guests just don't work out, then by all means, we will. Yeah. But and of course in May I'll on the 18th, I believe it is, or the 17th, I can't remember, but I'll be at the Cavern. It'll be 11 o'clock GMT, and of course we'll still be there. So I'm going to try to do as much of the show as possible from there. I don't know what their Wi-Fi connection is going to be like, but it'd be great just to be able to do a little bit. It may be too loud, but we'll do what we can.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what might happen live from the Cavern in Liverpool.
Hopefully, we'll certainly do our best. But anyway, this was another really fun one, and I'll be buying some Jack McDowell music.
Yep.
I'm sure you will too. And
111 at yahoo.com. He's getting my email tonight.
Well, Mark, again, it was always great to see you, and
right back at you, my friend.
Look forward to next week.
All right, let's do it again next week here on Material Issues. Tell your friends, join the group on Facebook, go over and subscribe on YouTube at materialissues.com. Spread the word. David and I are here every Wednesday. We've got great guests coming up, and we'll see you next week right here.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Stay well, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.